Right now, somewhere in the world, a person with $40 in their bank account is about to build something worth $1 billion. They don't know it yet. They're not smarter than you. They didn't inherit a fortune. Most of them got rejected, laughed at, and told to get a real job. Some of them slept in their cars. Some of them ate the same cheap meal every single day for a year because that's all they could afford. And yet, somehow, they ended up owning the buildings other people rent offices in. So here's the question that actually matters, the one nobody wants to sit with long enough to answer honestly. What separates the person who stays stuck at zero from the person who turns zero into an empire? It's not luck. Luck runs out. It's not talent alone. Talent is everywhere, wasted in people who never do anything with it. It's not even hard work by itself, because plenty of exhausted, broke people are working themselves into the ground right now without building anything that outlasts the week. It's the mindset, a specific, learnable, repeatable way of seeing the world that almost every self-made billionaire shares, even the ones who never met each other, never read the same books, never came from the same country or culture. Stick with me for the next few minutes, because I'm going to break down exactly what that mindset looks like, piece by piece, so you can start installing it in your own life today. And trust me, the third one on this list is the one most people get completely backwards, so don't leave early. Welcome back to Billionaire Vibes. Let's get into it. Here's the first shift, and it's bigger than it sounds. Most people treat zero like a wall. $0, zero connections, zero experience. To them, zero means I can't start. It means wait until conditions improve. It means come back when you have more. But the people who build empires treat zero completely differently. To them, zero isn't a wall, it's a floor. It's the lowest point, which means the only direction left is up. There's nothing left to lose, which paradoxically makes them dangerous, because fear of loss is what paralyzes almost everyone else. Think about it logically for a second. If you already have a comfortable six-figure salary, a nice house, a stable routine, every risky decision threatens something real. You have skin in the game, and that skin makes you cautious. But if you're starting from nothing, every risky decision only threatens more nothing. There's a strange freedom in that. The downside is capped, the upside is infinite. This is why so many empires weren't built by people who had safety nets. They were built by people who burned the safety net on purpose, or never had one to begin with. Not because suffering is noble, not because struggle is romantic, but because scarcity forces a kind of clarity that comfort never will. When you have nothing to protect, you stop asking, what if this fails, and start asking, what's the fastest way to find out if this works?
That single reframe, from zero being a wall to zero being a floor, is the first brick in the foundation. And once that brick is in place, something else has to follow it, because clarity alone doesn't build anything. You need fuel. And that brings us to the second piece, which is honestly where most people quietly disqualify themselves without even realizing it. Let's talk about something almost nobody talks about honestly: rejection. Every single empire builder you can name got told no. Not once, not twice, dozens of times, sometimes hundreds. Investors passed, banks declined loans, partners walked away, customers ignored them completely, like they didn't even exist. Here's the difference though, and it's subtle, but it changes everything. Most people hear no and internalize it as a verdict on who they are. No becomes, you're not good enough. No becomes, this was a stupid idea. No becomes a mirror, and they start believing what they see reflected back. The people who build empires hear no and process it as data about the market, not a verdict on their worth. A no doesn't mean stop. It means this version didn't work. Adjust and try again. It's the difference between a scientist whose experiment fails and a person whose identity fails. The scientist writes down what happened, tweaks the variable, and runs it tomorrow morning. There's no shame in the failed experiment. It's just information. That's the mental trick. Rejection isn't a mirror, it's a data point. And this is where I want to pause and ask you something, because it's easy to nod along and agree with this in theory, but much harder to actually live it. Think about the last time something you tried got rejected, a job application, a pitch, a message you sent someone that got ignored. Did you treat it as information you could use, or did you quietly let it become proof of a story you already believed about yourself? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't fail because the world rejects them too many times. They fail because they reject themselves after the very first no, long before the world ever gets a real chance to reject them a second time. Now, if you've made it this far, you're clearly not someone who's looking for comfortable answers, so let's go deeper. Because the next mindset shift is the one that separates people who talk about building something from people who actually build it. This is the part I mentioned earlier, the one most people get backwards. Most aspiring entrepreneurs fall in love with a plan, a 5-year roadmap, a specific product, a precise vision of exactly how things are supposed to unfold. And that sounds responsible, right? Have a plan, follow the plan. Except, reality doesn't care about your plan. Markets shift, technology changes overnight, customers want something completely different than what you assumed they'd want. And when the plan falls apart, because it eventually will, the person who is in love with the plan falls apart right along with it. They quit. They call it a failure. They tell everyone it just wasn't meant to be. But the people who build empires aren't in love with the plan. They're in love with the problem underneath it.
Let's use a real, well-documented example. Sarah Blakely didn't set out with a fixed plan to build a billion-dollar hosiery brand. What she was actually obsessed with was a specific, nagging problem. She hated how her clothes fit, and she couldn't find anything on the market that solved it. She started with around $5,000 of savings, cut the feet off a pair of pantyhose herself, and spent years being told no by manufacturer after manufacturer before Spanx became what it became. Notice what stayed constant through all of that. It wasn't a specific plan. Plans changed constantly. What stayed constant was the problem she refused to stop thinking about. This matters because plans are fragile. They're built on assumptions that reality loves to destroy. But a problem worth solving doesn't disappear just because your first, second, or 10th approach to solving it didn't work. If you're obsessed with the plan, a setback ends you. If you're obsessed with the problem, you're basically unstoppable. You'll just keep finding new roads toward the same destination. All right, we've covered redefining zero, treating rejection as data, and falling for the problem instead of the plan. But there's a quieter mindset shift running underneath all three of these, something that almost never gets talked about because it doesn't sound exciting. It sounds boring. And that's exactly why most people skip right past it, which is precisely why it works. Here's an uncomfortable truth nobody puts on a motivational poster. Building an empire is mostly boring. It's not montages of private jets and stage lights. It's answering the same customer email for the 400th time. It's reviewing spreadsheets at 11 at night. It's showing up to do the unglamorous, repetitive, invisible work on the days when absolutely nobody is watching, and there's no applause waiting at the end of it. Most people are addicted to novelty. They chase the exciting part, the launch, the idea, the pitch, and then the moment the excitement fades and the grind sets in, they go looking for a new exciting thing to chase instead. That's why so many people have a graveyard of half-finished projects, not because the ideas were bad, because the boredom won. The people who build empires figured out something strange and counterintuitive. Boredom isn't the enemy of success, it's actually the price of admission. Almost everyone quits during the boring middle part, which means simply surviving the boring middle part on its own puts you ahead of the vast majority of people who ever attempted the same thing. Think about that for a second, because it's genuinely one of the most underrated competitive advantages that exists. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need some rare, unteachable talent. You just need to be one of the few people willing to keep showing up through the part where nothing feels like it's happening. because that's exactly where almost everyone else quietly gives up and walks away. There's a phrase for this that's worth remembering. Consistency is a moat that talent alone can never build. Talent gets you a head start. Consistency is what actually gets you across the finish line because it's simply rarer. Now, I want to shift gears for a moment because so far we've talked about internal mindset, how these people think. But there's an external piece too, something about how they treat the people around them, and it's just as important as anything we've covered so far. So don't go anywhere, because this next part explains why some brilliant, hard-working people still never build anything that lasts. Here's a mistake that quietly sabotages a lot of talented people. They treat relationships as a nice bonus instead of essential infrastructure. They think, once I've built something impressive, then I'll network, then people will want to know me. So they isolate themselves, heads down, grinding alone, waiting for some future moment when they'll have earned the right to build real relationships. But almost every empire in history was built with other people, not in spite of them. Partners who filled in the gaps in a founder's weaknesses, early believers who took a chance before there was any proof the bet would pay off, mentors who'd already walked the road and could point out the landmines before anyone stepped on them. The mindset shift here is simple to state, but hard to actually practice. Relationships aren't the reward for success. They're one of the primary tools that produce it. This doesn't mean networking in the fake, transactional way most people picture, collecting business cards, working a room, pretending to care about someone until you've extracted what you need from them. That version of networking is exactly why so many people dislike it, and honestly, why it doesn't work very well anyway. The version that actually builds empires looks more like this: genuine curiosity about other people's problems, showing up consistently and being useful before you ever need anything back, and playing a long enough game that trust has time to actually compound. Just like money, relationships compound, quietly, slowly, and then all at once, usually at the exact moment you need them the most. So here's a question worth sitting with. Are you building your skills in isolation, waiting for some future moment to arrive before you let anyone in? Or are you building relationships and capability at the same time, side by side, so that when your moment does show up, there are already people standing right there ready to help you seize it? We're deep into this now, and I want to bring in one more piece before we pull everything together, because this next one is the mindset shift that explains why some people can lose everything and rebuild it, while other people lose something once and never really recover. This might be the single most important mindset shift on this entire list, so pay close attention here. Most people quietly tie their identity to their outcomes. I am my business, I am my job title, I am my bank account, which sounds harmless enough until the business fails, the job disappears, or the bank account hits zero. And when identity and outcome are fused together like that, losing the outcome doesn't just cost you money, it costs you your entire sense of self. That's exactly why so many people who go through one significant failure never really try again. The failure didn't just take their money, it took their identity along with it. The people who build empires, especially the ones who built more than one, or who bounced back from a spectacular collapse, carry a different internal structure entirely. They separate who they are from what they've built. The business can fail. The identity survives completely intact because it was never actually located inside the business to begin with. This is exactly why you'll find founders who went completely bankrupt in one venture and then built something even bigger a few years later. It wasn't because the second idea was magically better than the first one. It's because the failure of the first venture never got the chance to define them, so they could stand back up, keep their sense of self perfectly intact, and go again, with everything they'd learned the hard way now built directly into how they operated the second time around. If you take away just one idea from this entire video, let it be this one. You are not your current outcome. Your outcome is simply the current scoreboard of a game that's still being played. And as long as the game keeps going, the scoreboard can always change. Now, before we wrap this up, because I know a good chunk of you are tempted to close this tab, nod, feel motivated for about 10 minutes, and then go right back to exactly what you were doing before, I want to give you something practical, not another abstract idea to admire from a distance, something you can actually use starting today, in the next 24 hours. Because inspiration without action is just entertainment, and this channel isn't here to entertain you, it's here to change how you operate. So here's how all 6 of these mindset shifts stack together into something you can actually put to work. Let's make this concrete. Step 1, redefine your version of 0. Get brutally specific about what your actual floor is right now, not the vague fear in your head, the real number. What's the absolute worst realistic outcome if this doesn't work out? Write it down. Most people discover their imagined floor is far scarier than their real one, and once you can actually see the floor clearly, it stops looming over you in the dark. Step 2, start collecting no's on purpose. This sounds strange, I know, but it works. Pick something slightly outside your comfort zone this week, a pitch, an offer, a bold ask you've been putting off, and go get rejected on purpose. Then, immediately afterward, write down exactly what you learned from it, not how it made you feel, what it actually taught you. Do this enough times, and rejection stops being something you fear and starts becoming something you actively go hunting for, because you know it's just fuel. Step 3, identify the problem beneath your plan. If your current plan collapsed completely tomorrow, what's the underlying problem you'd still care about solving? If you can't answer that clearly, you're probably attached to the plan instead of the mission, and that's worth fixing before you go any further. Step 4, pick one boring task and protect it. Choose the single most repetitive, unglamorous part of what you're building and commit to doing it consistently for the next 30 days, no matter how you feel on any given day. This single habit, more than any clever idea, is what quietly separates the people who build something real from the people who only ever talk about it. Step 5, reach out to one person today, not to ask them for anything, just to genuinely be useful to them in some small way. Do this consistently over months, not once and then never again, and you'll be shocked at how much support quietly starts showing up right when you need it most.
Step 6, write down who you are, separate from what you're building. Your values, your character, the person you're becoming through this whole process. Read it back to yourself on the day something inevitably goes wrong, because something eventually will, and let it remind you exactly what actually didn't get lost. 6 shifts, 6 small actions. None of them require money you don't have. None of them require permission from anybody else. They just require you to actually start. Here's what I want you to really sit with before you go. Every single empire that has ever existed, no matter how massive it looks today, started out exactly where you might be standing right now. Small, uncertain, underestimated, maybe even quietly doubted by the very people who were supposed to believe in you the most. The difference was never the starting line. It was never about who had the better resources, the richer parents, or the perfect timing to launch. The difference was the mindset that refused to accept 0 as a permanent condition. The mindset that turned rejection into data, fell in love with the problem instead of the plan, made peace with the boring grind that nobody else was willing to sit through, treated people as partners instead of decoration, and never once let a bad outcome define who they actually were underneath it all. That mindset isn't reserved for a rare handful of people born special. It's a set of decisions, and decisions, unlike talent or luck, are available to absolutely anyone willing to actually make them, starting today, starting exactly where you are right now. So here's my real question for you before you close this video.
Which one of these 6 shifts do you need the most right now, today, in your actual life? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one, and honestly, some of the best conversations on this entire channel happen right there. If this gave you something worth thinking about, hit subscribe, because Billionaire Vibes puts out content just like this every week. Real mindset breakdowns, not empty hype. And if you know someone who's sitting at their own version of zero right now, send them this video. Sometimes the only thing standing between someone and their empire is a single reframe delivered at exactly the right moment. I'll see you in the next one.